So with the Premier League starting up this weekend, I thought I would make a video ranking the best forwards that money can buy on Sorare right now in the Premier League. So I've got every single forward laid out on here, and we're going to rank them between Star Rare, Tier 1, Tier 2, and we'll keep it PG and call it Tier 3. So I've tried to add all the new signings in, even though some of them might have the old badge, for example, Pedro Neto. And yeah, if you do enjoy the video, lads, please do leave it a like. I probably will be doing one of these for each position. So yeah, if you're completely new to Sorare and you are yet to sign up, there is a link in the description of this video that will get you £50 worth of free credits once you've purchased your first 5 cards from the auctions. Now, we're going to kick it off with Chelsea's new signing, Pedro Neto. Of course, still in the Wolves badge, so Sorare haven't minted the new Chelsea version, but I mean, I love Pedro Neto. I think he's absolutely amazing. I understand why they'd want to sign him. I understand why any Premier League team would want to sign him. But for, of all teams, it had to be Chelsea, right? The team that has like a million forwards at this point. I really rate him as a player. Like, I think he's great in real life. I think he's good on Sorare as well. Now that he's moved to Chelsea, yeah, okay, he's playing for a better team. But does that necessarily mean he's going to get more game time? I don't really know. So I'm going to have to put him in this Tier 2 section, I think, to kick us off. Because yeah, I'm just not confident on, him being an absolute nailed starter every weekend. And, this ranking is based off of, are they going to play more times than not? And, what scores are they, going to bring in that sense? And I think he'll score relatively okay. It's just, I just can't see us being able to really predict when he plays, to be honest. Now, on the opposite end of that argument is Cole Palmer. Now, this one's an easy one, right? If he is still taking penalties, which he should be, after last season, and yeah, the sort of cameos he made for England, I can't really see him slowing down, and so I think he's an easy Star Rare for me as far as ranking goes. I don't think that one needs much explaining. By far the best Chelsea forward for, Sorare, because he did have a midfielder card last season. Jackson's a weird one. I mean, he'll score goals. How many, I don't know. I don't know if I can put him into Tier 1. I think he has to go into Tier 2 next to Neto. I think he'll be a bit easier to predict when a Nicholas Jackson plays compared to a Neto, because there's just less number 9s to compete with at Chelsea. Madueke, that's a weird one, because I've seen some rumours that he might be moving to Newcastle with, all the new winger signings that the Chelsea are making. Yeah, I think he'll struggle to get game time as well. And look, he can score quite well on the game. Like, I'm not disputing that, but is that going to be something you can rely on week in, week out? I honestly don't think so. And if he moves to Newcastle, okay, yeah, there probably is more game time for him. So on the basis of that, I am going to actually throw him into Tier 2 as well. I don't think he's quite Tier 3, realistically. And Kunku, this is a really interesting one. Yeah, okay, he won't have penalties, but another player that has formerly had a midfielder card, scored fine enough, but I think, yeah, forward card Chelsea and Kunku could be really, really good. Less competition again for that number 10 role, I would say. I know he can play off the left, he can play as a 9 as well, and so for that reason, I think he has a chance to be a Tier 1 for me. As far as scoring goes, as far as when you can kind of predict he's going to play. He's not as good as Cole Palmer because he doesn't have the penalties and that sort of stuff. He might potentially be on set pieces, who knows. But he's a really interesting one. So that's Chelsea out the way. Into Arsenal now. Martinelli. I mean, I personally don't love Martinelli. Just in real life, that's not, because I'm against Arsenal in any way, shape or form. I just don't think he's that great. I think he's really athletic. I think he's quick. I think he is, there is a room for Martinelli in an Arsenal squad. But I don't think he's the finished article by any means. And so I don't even think I can put him in Tier 1. He's not Tier 3. But I think he does probably fit in Tier 2 quite comfortably. Trossard's, again, a weird one. For the first time in a while, which we'll get into, Arsenal have their best player now as a forward listed. And I'm sure you can probably guess who that is. But yeah, the need for, taking a risk on a Trossard or Martinelli or even Jesus now. Okay, they're budget options, so some people might only be able to afford them, and I get it. But yeah, as we'll get into, they do have that elite option now. And so, yeah, Trossard, I just don't see it. I just don't see it really happening for him this season. Like, game time wise, I just can't see him really getting going. And he's going to probably, fall into that Tier 3 category for me. Like, I think he's a good player in real life. I do rate him. But as far as SO5 scores go, I I'm just not seeing it. Now, again, similar to the Cole Palmer situation. Well, actually not that similar because Saka's never had a forward card before. Yeah, this one could be like game breaking as far as, you know, playing the Premier League comp goes on Sorare. We saw how, you know, amazing Saka was last season from, you know, a Sorare perspective, and the fact that, well, he was a midfielder then, he's now a forward card, which means, you know, less possession lost, etc., which is something that, you know, when he's always attempting, you know, crosses and stuff, they don't always, Arsenal players don't always get on the end of them, which means he does end up like losing points through that. But now he's a forward card, he's going to lose way less points for things like that. Okay, he won't get like tackles given, which is something he does actually do quite well. He does get a lot of tackles for a forward player, but yeah, those won't technically count anymore as a forward card. But yeah, this one's a no-brainer, right? He has to go into that star rare pool. Again, penalty taker is just an absolute no-brainer. Jesus is a weird one. He's had a good pre-season from all accounts, and I don't want to completely write him off because there's going to be competition now. Like, I know Havertz doesn't have a forward card, but he will probably be Arsenal's number 9 more often than not, I think. And so yeah, game time for your Trossards, for your Jesuses. Yeah, okay, they'll come off the bench, but is that enough to be, you know, a good Sorare player, which is what a good Sorare card, which is what we're basing all this off? I'm not really seeing it. He's going down the bottom. I'm sorry, Arsenal fans, but he's got to go down there for me. Now into Liverpool, they have 4 forwards right now that you could kind of, you know, choose from, and all of them are of decent quality, I would say. Salah to kick us off. It's a weird one. Obviously, yeah, okay, he takes penalties, so that is a massive bonus for your forward card. Do I think Salah has an amazing season? I'm just not convinced. I don't think he's going to be terrible by any means, but do I see him having like a Cole Palmer Saka season? I don't know, man. I just don't see it. I think he'll be good. I think he will probably be the best Liverpool forward, but is that enough to go into the star rare pool? I don't know if it is. I think I'm going to play him in, put him in tier 1. Jota, you know, similar situation to maybe a Trossard at Liverpool, but I do think he'll get way more game time than Trossard will. And way more starts for that matter. I think Jota could easily be in tier 2. I think that one's, yeah, not really too hard to kind of predict there. I mean, he could fight for a tier 1 spot, I think. He scored a wicked goal yesterday, actually, in pre-season. But yeah, you know, there's 4 really good forwards there fighting for 3 positions. And you know, one's going to miss out every game at the end of the day. And it's just kind of knowing who that's going to be. Luis Diaz, again, he's definitely not good enough to go into the tier 1 pool, in my opinion. And I'm somebody that actually owns a Luis Diaz card. I think he's great. His end product is questionable. And for that reason, he's definitely not a tier 3 player. But I think he has to join Jota in tier 2. We know Cody Gakpo, as his obviously PSV days, was, you know, one of the best forwards on this game. You know, of course, moved to Liverpool. And as most Premier League moves go, it didn't really go that well at the start. I think he struggled for game time. I think he struggled to find his identity as far as, you know, where he belongs in that team. Is it through the middle? Is it on the left? And also, as I'm making this video, lads, I've made a massive mistake. I did not include Darwin Núñez in this, so massive apologies to any Liverpool fans watching. There's actually 5 forwards to choose from, so 2 will be missing out every game week, not 4. So yeah, massive apologies there. But yeah, back on Gakpo. He's nowhere near good enough to be in the tier 1 pool for me. Tier 2 is probably where he belongs. I don't think he's... Like, I rate him as a player. He had a wicked Euros. Like, he is a very good direct winger. But he was used as a 9 for Liverpool last season. I just don't think he is that, in all honesty. So, I think the safest option is to throw him into tier 2. Darwin Núñez, like, again, really athletic. Is obviously more of a 9 than anything else. He's just a weird one. Like, I don't think he's an SO5 player. You know, I don't think he's a forward option that you really want, if I'm being honest. Yeah, okay, he's the only recognised 9 out of those 5 players that we've seen. Like, Salah's obviously going to play on the right most of the time. So, it's basically 4 players fighting for 2 positions, right? The left wing position and the forward position. Okay, Jota can play as a 9, but, like, let's be honest, he's not a 9. He's an inside forward, realistically. Darwin Núñez is the, you know, the main obvious number 9. And so, you know, if Slot does fancy him, then he probably will get more game time than the other 4 players, or the other 3 players, sorry, outside of Salah. So, again, I know it's a bit of a cop-out, but I think he just goes into tier 2. I don't think he's going to be good enough as scorers go to get into that tier 1 pool. And so, yeah, you know, that tier 2 pool is definitely bulking out already, isn't it? Next up is Rodrigo Muniz, who plays for Fulham. I mean, I'm not too in love. I think he's a good player, but I'm not too in love with his Sorare scores from what we've seen. I think he does have pedigree, and I think he does have a bit of potential, but yeah, this season I don't really see him. You know, he's not in that tier 2 pool for me. So he's got to probably, squeeze down in that tier 3 pool. Isak, I mean, sky's the limit for a player like him. I really thought he would have gone to an Arsenal. I guess there is still time for that to happen, but yeah, I don't think he's... I mean, it's a weird one, actually, because he could be star rare. He could be star rare potential, He'll take penalties. For me, he's one of the best number 9s in that league, quite comfortably, probably behind Haaland, if we're being honest. There's definitely merit to say that he's either in tier 1 or star rare. I look at what I've got in tier 1 already, Salah and Kunku. Does Isak deserve to be in that star rare pool? I mean, it's tough to put him above Salah, but I think he scores more goals than Salah this season. I do. And I'm not saying that's the only reason why I'm tempted to put him into the star rare pool, but his AA for a number 9 isn't actually that terrible. His all-around score, that is, on Sorare. So, lads, I'm going to stick my neck out and say he deserves to be in that star rare pool. Could be a big shout because, leaving out a Salah there, but yeah, I think he definitely deserves to be up there for me, as far as what I project him to kind of do this season. Gordon the same. Like, he's nowhere near bad enough to be in that tier 2 pool. Is he good enough to be in the star rare pool? I mean, if he had penalties, I'd say no questions asked, he's in that star rare pool. If he does take corners again next season, that could actually be the catalyst for me to want to throw him into the star rare pool. Now, I'm not throwing shade on any Liverpool fans by putting Salah into that tier 1 pool, so don't come for me in the comment section. But lads, I'm gonna have to pair up Isak and Gordon in the same pool. I think I really am. If I'm gonna put Isak up there, I have to put Gordon up there. I know he doesn't take pens, but as far as like forwards go on this game that like aren't number 9s, like your Sakas, like your Cole Palmers, he falls into that category for me. So explosive, can take on players for fun, and I think he deserves to be up there. I really do. I think he'll have an amazing season. There was rumours he's going to go to Liverpool. I don't know if that really will happen this season, but Jesus, man, what a player he is. And if I'm putting Isak in that star rare pool, I think Gordon deserves to be up there as well. So yeah, let me know what you think about that one. Kulusevski, we're into Tottenham now. I mean, I think he's a good player. I don't think he's a winger. He's a 10. And for that reason, I just don't know how much game time he's going to see. I know Ange likes his traditional wingers to be fast and direct. And yeah, Kulu just not really that player, to be honest. He's shown glimpses of real class, but I think he has to go into the tier 2 pool for me. I don't think he's good enough to be in tier 1 at all, and probably because, yeah, I just don't think his game time's going to really be there. He's going to play games. He's probably going to play half the games, right, realistically, with Brennan, and, they've brought Solanke in now, so Richarlison obviously will get less game time, and yeah, I just don't think he definitely doesn't deserve to be in that tier 1 pool. So yeah, tier 2 is the obvious choice there. Son, for me, up there with the best, forwards on this game, especially for the Premier League. Taking penalties, does take the odd corner as well. Again, not a traditional number 9, so, takes on players, loads of crosses into the box, attempted assists, etc. He goes into the star rare pool for me. I think that one's a no-brainer, alongside Isak, Gordon, Saka and Palmer. I'll be honest, I do not rate Timo Werner at all. I think he's a really bad footballer, and that's just being brutally honest. I just don't rate him. I think he's really direct, and there's definitely, room for him to be a professional footballer. I get it, but he just rubs me up the wrong way. I just don't rate him at all. So he's going into that tier 3 pool for me. I just don't think he's great, and yeah, I think we'll just leave that one there. Solanke now, of course, just moved to Spurs. I think this one could be great. Now, again, traditional number 9s don't score that well on Sorare normally, like your Haalands, etc. Like, loads of big chances missed, and I guess that's not, a number 9 situation. That's more of a Haaland situation because he just does get so many chances. But I really do think this Solanke move is going to be great for Tottenham, and so I'm going to stick my neck out and say he gets into that tier 1 pool for me. I think he's going to be their, he is going to be their number 9 at the end of the day. Son, Maddison, Brennan, Werner, Kulusevski, like all feeding him, to try and get him, 15 to 20 goals. I think that's easily possible. And he's strong, he's big, he's athletic. I think he'll win more duels than not against most Premier League centre backs. I think he's got merit to be in that tier 1 pool for me. So I'm going to throw him in there. Brennan, I've already mentioned I'm a massive fan. Like, let's be honest, I'm biased, but I'm definitely not throwing him into tier 1. He's definitely better than a Timo Werner for me. I think he got like 10 assists, 5 goals last season, so 15 decisives. I think he'll only improve on that this season. His AA scores at times are a bit flaky. So, yeah, unfortunately, I'm going to have to throw you in with Kulu, to be honest, Brennan. I hope you're not too mad at me there, but you'll be okay with that, I think. Richarlison, definitely down the bottom. I don't rate him at all. And so, yeah, that one's a no-brainer. Leon Bailey, interesting one. Really good player. Again, one of those sort of forward options on Sorare that isn't a 9, so he can get those duels 1, etc., contest 1. Really tricky winger. I think he can't go into tier 1. There's no way, and he's definitely not Richarlison team over in a level, so I think he has to go into tier 2 for me quite comfortably. Ollie Watkins is a really interesting one. Had a wicked season last year, was great for England in the Euros in the minutes he had. Does he deserve to be in the same tier as Nkunku, Salah and Solanke? Like, I'm not a massive fan of number 9 forward cards on Sorare in general. Like, I'm always gonna lean towards a Son or a Gordon or a Saka, Palmer if I had the budget and stuff. But I think Watkins definitely deserves to be in that tier 1 pool. I do think he'll score goals again. Okay, will his AA score be elite? No, hence why I'm not playing him in that star rare pool. But I think he definitely deserves to be in that tier 1 pool. I think he's a better option than most of those tier 2 options there, just for game time reasons. He's going to start most games. And he's going to score more often than not, penalties, etc. So yeah, I don't mind that one in tier 1. I don't think that one's that crazy of a shout. This one's really interesting. If he can stay fit, I think there's merit in playing him into tier 1. I really, really do. No Pascal Gross anymore, so I think João Pedro's got a clear run at penalties at Brighton, I think. And yeah, maybe less rotation now that De Zerbi's gone. If he can stay fit, I think there's definitely a tier 1 player in there for sure. Simon Adringa, really tricky, but there's loads of wingers now at Brighton. I worry about their game time in general. Okay, he's not in the Timo Werner Richarlison category, so yeah, tier 2 feels pretty right for him. Carrying on with Brighton, then we have Yakuba Minter, who does look really interesting, and I think he'll have a good season just as a first-time Premier League player in that sense. Was great at Feyenoord last year, obviously bought from Newcastle. He's not good enough to be in that tier 1 pool. I think he's probably on par with Adingra, really, isn't he, if we're being honest. Mateta did have a really good year last year. I'm not going to dispute that. But again, is he tier 1 capable? Not for me. I think he has to go into tier 2. Definitely not in the tier 3 situation. Now, heading into United, Garnacho's a really interesting one because, again, falls into that category of being a forward card on Sorare, but isn't a 9, obviously. He's a winger. So you're going to get those duels won, dribbles completed, etc. Loads of attempted assists. He's shown real glimpses of being a Sorare scorer, and a good one at that, with like the 20 to 25, 30 AA at times. If he can add decisives onto that, which he can obviously do if he gets the assists and goals, honestly, I'm going to say he's a tier 1 player. I think that type of player has to fall into tier 1 for me. I don't think there's much to dispute there. Xerxes an interesting one. Obviously, they've just bought him from Bologna. He's been at Bayern. He's had loads of different clubs, to be fair, and has had failed spells and also had some really good spells like last season in Serie A. Finally got his Premier League move. Physically, I think athletically and even technically, he's a bit of a specimen, really, isn't he? As far as what he can do at the height he is, and yeah, his pace, and he's a really good finisher as well. Like, he has everything, I think, to be a real good forward for United. There is that unknown of he's playing in the Premier League for the first time. Is he going to be that good? He could be good in glimpses. I'm not going to say that he's tier 1 potential. Well, okay, he probably is tier 1 potential, but I don't think he's a tier 1 certainty for now. And so for that reason, I think he has to go into tier 2. Like, tier 2 is, from filming this video for the last 25 minutes, feels like the cop-out tier, maybe. But I think there is just going to, there is going to be less tier 1s and star rares than tier 2. So I'm not, making any crazy assumptions here. And the star rare pool has way more cards in it than the other tiers. I think this is quite a fair, reasonable way of doing this. And yeah, I don't know enough about Xerxes to know that he is definitely going to be a tier 1 player next year. It's just hard for me to foresee that. I've seen Garnacho, he's proven in the Premier League, and so that's why he deserves to be in that tier 1 pool. Are Man United going to go into most games with the Xerxes and Højlund as 2 9s? I don't know if that's going to happen. I know Xerxes can play in the 10 maybe as well, so the formations might change a little bit there, but are we going to see both of them on the field most times? I don't know. I really don't. I haven't watched a ton of United in pre-season, so, take that with a pinch of salt. If you are a United fan, then you're going to know a little bit more than me, I think, if you watch the pre-season games. Yeah, I'm struggling to put Højlund. We've seen him. He's proven. So there's no way I can play him lower than Xerxes. And so, yeah, he's going to have to go into, next to Xerxes, actually, I think. That tier 2 pool is definitely filling up, isn't it? We're going to have to make some adjustments to this. I might have to make it a little bit smaller for you. I don't know if that's annoying. We're going to probably have to do it, lads. Okay, Brentford. Ivan Toney. I've seen some Saudi rumours, which obviously aren't looking good for anyone that holds his card. Obviously, great forward. I can't dispute that at all. Great at penalties, and will score goals for Brentford if he's there next season. Not denying that. But the uncertainty of him maybe moving, I do struggle to put him into that tier 1 pool. Just being completely honest. I think tier 2's probably where he belongs for now. Brighton and Buemo, really interesting one because he is that type of forward card on Sorare that can hit peaks. He can hit hundreds. He's taken set pieces before. Really tricky winger, really powerful. Are we going to see hundreds every game? Obviously not, right? He's playing for Brentford at the end of the day. He will peak in certain games, and so yeah, he's definitely not in that tier 3 pool. I know it's probably getting boring, lads, you watching me, throw a lot of these players into tier 2, but that's just how the pools are actually going to end up looking in a lot of ways as well. There's going to be more tier 2s and 3s than there is tier 1s and star rares. So yeah, that's just unfortunately how it's going to have to look. I think Tottenham and Buemo fit quite nicely into that same pool. Then we move on to West Ham. Somerville, brand new signing. Jared Bowen and Fulkrug, another signing for them. I really rate Somerville. Like, I think he's a very, very good player. Was excellent in the championship for Leeds. So there's no way he's fitting into that bottom pool for me. He's a weird one because, again, he's a winger, so he does have that capability of being a really good forward card. I don't know his situation as far as, like, he's not going to take pens, of course, at West Ham. Will he take set pieces over James Ward-Prowse? Probably not. Where I think he had a lot of responsibility at Leeds. So again, lads, I think he easily falls into tier 2 without knowing how good he's going to be, in the Prem yet, because we've not seen it. And so yeah, I think he fits there quite nicely. Jared Bowen for me is definitely tier 1 material. I think he firmly fits into that tier 1 pool. Again, not an out and out number 9, really tricky winger, powerful again, but somebody that can get incredible amounts of goals and assists. And yeah, I think now with Fulkrug in the mix as well, he's got a real target man to aim for. And so yeah, I think his assists will definitely increase next season, and yeah, I think he definitely deserves to be in tier 1 there. Fulkrug as well could be really interesting. Like, I think he's going to be a bit of a handful in the Prem. I think he'll ruffle a few feathers, and centre backs might not be able to deal with him as nicely as they maybe wish. He's not the most aesthetically pleasing footballer in the world, is he? But I think he gets the job done. There's a reason why he's just signed for West Ham. Part of me really wants to put him in tier 1 because I think he's going to score a good amount of goals. He's not a winger. He's not somebody that's going to be taking on players. The only way he's going to rake up AA really is if he's laying balls off to your Bowens and to your Somervilles and to your Kuduses, for example, to get shots off, to get potential goals and stuff. So he will get attempted assists. I don't think he won't. But the main way he's going to create all around score on his Sorare card is by scoring goals, by shots on target, etc. Yeah, okay, duels won as well. He is a bit of a beast, and I think he will win more duels than not. But I am really struggling to put him in tier 1, lads. I am. I thought about it for 5 seconds, and I definitely think he belongs in tier 2. Into Everton, we've got Everton, Wolves, and City left. So nearly done. How long are we into the video? Nearly 30 minutes to be fair. So hefty video. I hope you've stuck around, lads. I really do appreciate it if you have. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller again, and then we can zoom in after we're done. But Dwight McNeil, I really like him. I really, really like him. For somebody that plays for Everton, no disrespect, his Sorare scores are very, very good. On all set pieces, if there's a threat, for Everton to score goals and create chances, get assists, he is in there. Part of me, for that reason, and he's nailed every single game. Lads, I know this is a bit of a weird shout, but I think I'm going to throw him into tier 1. I think he deserves to be in there on the basis of, you kind of know he's going to play every game. He's going to be taking the corners, the free kicks, etc. Okay, he doesn't take pens. Lads, I think there's definitely merit in him being a tier 1 for that reason, because he is so nailed. A lot of these players in tier 2, yeah, they're probably better players than him. They're playing for better clubs, but that doesn't mean to say they're better Sorare cards, because they might not play every game. Rotations, etc., could kill them, and Dwight McNeil's in a bit of a league of his own in that sense, because he is so nailed. And so yeah, I'm gonna throw him into tier 1. Next up is his new teammate, Iliman Ndiaye. And I know he came from that Rising Ballers Academy, didn't he, a few years ago, went to Marseille. I mean, he did okay, I think, but I don't think he was amazing. But I've watched him play. He was at Sheffield United as well, wasn't he, for a bit? He's actually a really, really good player. First time in the Premier League, so there's no way I'm going to throw him into, to tier 1, off that basis. And so tier 2 feels right because he does have potential to be an SO5 player. Again, really tricky player. One of those sort of potential cheat code forward cards in some way. Now, Matheus Cunha, one of the best players I kind of watched in the Bundesliga a few years ago for Hertha. Went to Wolves, has always sort of flirted with the idea of leaving and has never done it. Now his good mate, well, I'm guessing they're good mates, Pedro Neto has left for Chelsea. It kind of leaves Cunha in a position where he could be that SO5 beast again, like he was at Hertha, where he was on penalties, and I think he was on penalties anyway at Wolves, but if he's taking corners, if he's taking everything basically at this point, I know Sarabia likes to take corners as well, but I don't think he'll have a ton of game time. I think Cunha could get back to those really, really good scores. Now, okay, Wolves aren't the best of teams in the Premier League. We get that. I think there's merit to say that in a similar vein to McNeil, you kind of know if Cunha's fit, he's playing every single game for Wolves. Just a fact. Alongside Hwang, who we'll get into shortly, but lads, I'm gonna say Cunha deserves to be in that tier 1 pool. I think he'll have a good season. I think he'll have to sort of carry Wolves a little bit now that Neto's not there, and I think that'll, yeah, maybe spur him on to really have a good season. Losing Neto for Wolves in general is a massive loss, and I'm sure they'll try and replace him with the money they've got in for him. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go for tier 1 just because he is so nailed. That's one of the biggest things about Sorare is, like, you can be the best player in the world, but if you're not playing every game, or if you're not a player that we can easily detect as playing next game, if that makes sense, like if you're not in a rotation, then unfortunately it's just really tough that, you know, you're not going to be considered as an elite option. I'm not saying Cunha's elite, he's not in star rare, but yeah, I think he deserves to be in that tier 1 pool for all those reasons. Hwang's a good player. I actually own his card. I won him last season, but yeah, you know, I don't think he has that SO5 capabilities as a Cunha could, and for that reason, he has to firmly go into tier 2 for me. I don't think he's a tier 3 player, but I also don't think he's deserving to be any higher. And then we end on City. Jeremy Doku, Savio, and Haaland. Doku, again, I've just mentioned there, like, it doesn't matter how good of a player you are, if you're in that sort of pep roulette rotation, it's very hard for me to put you in like the really, really high tiers. Grealish has had a full pre-season, obviously not going away with England, so he's looking really sharp. Doku went away with Belgium, of course. You know, he can't help that situation. But yeah, Jeremy Doku, man, like on his day, he's a star tier 1. He is. If you know he's playing, he is that. Just because winger again, duels 1, attempted assist, playing for City, you know, they're going to be so dominant. There's going to be so much AA involved in his game, all around score, that yeah, he can easily hit. We've seen it. He can easily hit 20 to 35 AA. Never mind getting decisive. So he is a 100 capable forward. I'm not going to deny that. If Grealish really does have a pep in his step, and he, no pun intended there, but I think I struggled to put him into star rare, and I also think he's a little bit better than the tier 2 players, even if we don't know exactly when he's going to play every game. So I think tier 1's fair for him. He has the potential to be a star rare player if we knew he was going to play all the time, and so yeah, for that reason, tier 1 feels right there. Savio, obviously brand new signing from Girona. I rate him. I think he's class. I'm not annoyed, but I would have liked to have seen him stay at Girona for a little bit longer, play Champions League football, etc. It hasn't worked out that way. City really want him, you know, and he is that Mahrez replacement, right? He's a carbon copy Mahrez type of player, you know, inside forward, playing on the right but left-footed, can beat players for fun. So again, falls into that Doku category of could be insane, like genuinely could be insane. He is a little bit lightweight. I do think, you know, it will take a little bit of time for him to, you know, adjust to the Premier League and adapt to it. Definitely has the potential to be a tier 1 player, but I think I need to play it safe and put him into tier 2 for now. He definitely has merit to be a tier 1 player, but I've not seen it. You know, I've not seen it in the Premier League yet, so yeah, I'll definitely have to reserve my expectations on that. And then quite possibly, you know, the best forward in the Premier League in real life. Does that mean he's the best forward on Sorare for the Premier League? That is, my answer is no. I don't think he is. We've seen it, you know, over the last couple of years. Yeah, okay, you've scored bucket loads of goals, and of course you get points for that. You get decisive actions. But this guy, Erling Haaland's AA score is just not as good as a Son, a Gordon, Saka, Palmer. Isak, there is a comparison there. And so, look, I'm not saying the Haaland isn't going to be more expensive than an Isak, because he is going to be. Like, this is not based off price. I'm not, you know, Sorare base their tiers off the price of the cards. I'm not doing that. I'm basing it off of how good their Sorare scores are going to be. And of course, there is a correlation between, you know, how good a player is scoring-wise to how expensive they are, but not always. So in a weird world, lads, I can't put Haaland at the top there because I don't think he's going to outscore these types of players. Like, Haaland's peaks are just not there as much as those 5 up there. Isak's the weird one. Like, I think Gordon, Son, Saka, and Palmer, you know, if there was like a tier between star and tier 1, I think Isak maybe fits in there, as does maybe Haaland. But, lads, I can't put him into star rare. I can't. Just because I just don't believe in his all-around score. He doesn't touch the ball enough, you know, in City's build-up play, scoring really good all-around score. Okay, he can score 3, 4, 5 goals. Yeah, he definitely can do that. And not many other players in the Prem If anyone can do that, I agree with you. But how often does that happen? You know, how often is he going to score a hat-trick every game? Obviously not. Yeah, okay, braces most games are quite likely, but that only gets you to 70 points. So if his all-around score is negative, then he's at 70. Like, you know, there's players here in that star rare pool that could get to 70 without a decisive. Bukayo Saka, Palmer maybe, even Gordon and Son. They could do that. They don't need the goals and assists. Whereas Haaland needs the decisives, and that is just a fact. If he can add AA to his game, then okay, great. He is probably the best forward in this tier list. But for that reason, lads, he's going into tier 1. He has to go next to Doku there for me, because he is subject to just not touching the ball enough at the end of the day. Like that is what it comes down to. Yeah, okay, when he touches it, it does turn to gold, and he does score a lot of goals. But yeah, I can't see myself putting him into that star rare pool. And yeah, maybe I'll get a bit of flack for that, but you know, whatever. That's just my opinion. So yeah, lads, this is how we're looking. We've got 5 players into the star rare pool. We've got, what's that, 11 in tier 1. Tier 2 pool is jam-packed for sure. Some good players in there. Like, there's some players in there that could work their way into tier 1 quite comfortably. But this is, you know, a lot of these players are new signings, and it's tough for me to really, to really believe in them before I've seen it. And that's just me being quite pessimistic there. But I think that's just how you have to play it, right? Yeah, the tier 3 pool, Trossard, Jesus, Muniz, Werner, Richarlison. I think they're okay shouts. I do. I don't think I've been too harsh there at all. Is there anyone in that tier 2 pool that could drop down? Maybe like a Minter, maybe a Dingra. I don't know. I think that would be a bit harsh on them, but maybe not. We'll see how it all goes. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'll do the midfielder and defender and goalkeeper versions, but I think I'm only gonna maybe do like top 20. Of course, there's only 20 goalkeepers, so that one will be fine. But for the outfielders, you know, midfielders and defenders, we'll definitely have to, shorten that a little bit, because 40-minute videos, bit of a hefty one. But if you've stuck around, lads, Jesus, I really do appreciate you. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comment section. Is there any wild shouts here that I'm going to get crucified for? Let me know in the comment section. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Look out for the midfielder, defender, and goalkeeper versions. And yeah, I shall see you guys in the next video.